All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome in to the Red Friday Q&A live chat. I am Farzin Vasugian. It is a crazy Red Friday because of all of the college basketball madness going on. So if you want to take a little break from hoops action, or maybe you want to have that on while watching or listening to me, hey, that works as well. But I appreciate you all being here. This won't be a very long Q&A session because I do have some people coming over for the KU game. So gonna keep this one probably shorter than we usually do, but nonetheless, we still have some things to get into here as it's been kind of a busy weekend for the Chiefs. Obviously not as busy as it was the previous week, but a lot of things to go over with the Chiefs right now as they continue to make some moves and they continue to be in the rumorville. And the one story that came out earlier today was from Nate Taylor of ESPN, and he put out there that the Chiefs have expressed some kind of interest in Cam Jordan, the former defensive end for the Saints, 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, if I recall correctly. And I think the exact wording was that Kansas City is a potential landing spot, according to a source that told him. Well, when he's getting that from a source, that tells me the Chiefs have expressed interest in Cam Jordan. So that makes things very interesting for the Chiefs if Cam Jordan is someone who the Chiefs are seriously considering. Here's what I will say, because I'm looking at Kansas City's defensive line depth right now, and it's not very good. Let's say they add Cam Jordan. Who are your edge guys? Your three main edge guys: George Karlaftis, Ashton Gelati, and Cam Jordan. You have Felix Anudike-Uzomah as part of your depth. Boy, I don't know what the long-term future holds for that guy, which is unfortunate because Casey Kidd went to K-State, was in attendance for the draft here in Kansas City, got to experience having his name called, and his career just has not panned out at all. And he just came off a season where he didn't play due to injury. You also have Ethan Downs as part of your depth, Tyreek Smith, guys who are going to be competing for a roster spot in July and August. Then in the middle of your defensive line, who are your three main guys for right now? It's Chris Jones, Kyrie's Tonga, who you got from the New England Patriots through free agency, and Omar Norman-Lott, who you drafted last year. Now, I liked Omar Norman-Lott. I was excited when the Chiefs got him. He was in my mock draft last year, one of the mock drafts I did for the Chiefs. And when the Chiefs ended up getting him, I was pretty stoked about it. And unfortunately for Omar Norman-Lott, he missed a little bit of time in the preseason and the beginning of the regular season. Then he suffered that ACL tear against the Raiders, I think in week 7. And he obviously was sidelined for the rest of the year. So injuries have been an issue for Omar Norman-Lott. When healthy, I think that's great for the Kansas City Chiefs. And when Omar Norman-Lott played for the Chiefs, you saw some good things out of him. This dude's a hard hitter. This guy can help Chris Jones avoid double team situations. And I think Kyrie Tonga can help do that as well. But if Omar Norman-Lott is hurt a lot, that becomes a problem, and that second round pick doesn't look as good anymore. I still think Omar Norman-Lott, the Chiefs have a lot of high thoughts on him. They still feel pretty good about him, but I think they want that insurance policy. So let's say they add Cam Jordan to the mix. I think you still have to prioritize both defensive line positions, defensive tackle and defensive end, very early in the draft. The Chiefs have 3 picks on the top 40. They're picking number 9, number 29, and number 40. And let's assume they don't trade and they stay at those 3 spots there. Big if, because we know Veach is very active in the draft. But I think that's one of those situations where you still, even after adding Cam Jordan and Kyrie's Tonga, I still think you have to highly prioritize edge rusher and defensive tackle, especially if Bain. I prefer Bailey over Bain, but I don't think Bailey is going to fall to the Chiefs at 9. If anyone's going to fall to the Chiefs at 9 at the between those two guys, I think it's more realistically going to be Bain, but that seems unlikely. If they want to wait later in the draft, Zion Young from Mizzou is a good guy to look after and bring in here. He might be available at 40. Certainly will be available at 29. At 40, he could be gone. And after him, there isn't really anyone that might be worth taking around 40 early in the second round. I'm looking at the defensive tackles for this upcoming draft year. There are some really good prospects. Caden McDonald from Ohio State, I really like him. You also have Caleb Banks from Florida and Peter Woods from Clemson. I think those are three really good defensive tackles, and they're all expected to go somewhere in the second half of the first round of the draft. Not the second round of the draft, to be clear, the second half of the first round of the draft, according to these mock drafts. Now, again, keep one thing in mind. The mock drafts from the media, they're not always going to be how teams view these prospects won't be the same. And sure, needs play a role in that. Here's another thing to consider. And I know there are some very good scouts that are doing mock drafts for ESPN, Fox Sports, what have you. But these guys are not evaluating players on a day-to-day basis. The teams are. The teams know far more than the media does. I'm not saying the media doesn't know anything. But I hate to use this word, but after the top 10 of the draft, the top 10 is fairly easy to predict, especially the week of the draft. But after that, it can kind of be a crapshoot, especially once you get into the stage of a team that kind of makes a surprising move that you don't expect at all. By the way, I'm on the PFF mock draft simulator, and I just started it just to see the players that would come up. Jeremiah Love is available at number 9, which, by the way, is like a 0.0001% chance of that happening. I mean, the odds of a number 16 team. I mean, are there any 16 teams left in the tournament? The odds of one of those teams winning, which I think is only one more, which could be happening right now, they have a higher chance of winning than Jeremiah Love falling to the Chiefs. So I do not expect that. All right, if you guys have any questions, like I said, this won't be a very long Q&A. I know a lot of you guys are probably watching some college basketball, and I got to get back into that as well because I got some people coming over for the game. So you guys fire away with your questions, and I'll get to those shortly. I do want to get into the Justin Fields thing because, I like the TikTok AI summary here. I've never seen that before. I do want to get into the Justin Fields move because that was made official this week. Look, we've already gone over what this could mean potentially for Mahomes, if he'll be available or not. I think he will still be available early in the season. Could he maybe miss week 1? Possibly. But whether Mahomes is there or not in week 1, I still think the Chiefs are going to utilize Justin Fields probably more than they have any other quarterback, while Mahomes is still, the primary quarterback, meaning that he's not resting for a week 18 game or an injury that would occur. I still think Justin Fields is someone they want to maybe utilize kind of like a gadget player. Who was the gadget player for the Saints that Taysom Hill, I want to say? Yeah, Taysom Hill, that's who it was. I'd be very curious to see if they utilize Justin Fields somewhat similar to Taysom Hill. I mean, look, if you go look up Justin Fields highlight reel, that dude can do some really good things with his feet. And I know we have more running quarterbacks today, and still, even though there's more than there were 20 years ago, they're not easy to play against if the defense completely breaks down in coverage. So listen, if he was your primary quarterback, you'd be in trouble. But for what the Chiefs might be using him for, I'm in favor of it. I'm excited to see what the Chiefs can do. By the way, to go back to the Cam Jordan thing, let's say the Chiefs do get Cam Jordan. Do I think they still target an edge defender at 9? Yes. Obviously, it depends on if someone's available. But I think they'll also seriously consider another player as well. I think they would look at the 2 Ohio State guys more than anything else. Caleb Downs and Carnell Tate. I would love Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate would be a very exciting player to have. Here's my thing with the wide receivers, and I know a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me on this. Let's start where we do agree. Do the Chiefs need to improve in the wide receiver room? Absolutely, they do. But when you consider the needs on defense, up front with the defensive line and in the secondary, is the wide receiver room that bad compared to what you have right now on the defensive side? Because here's my thing. If the Chiefs can get an edge rusher and a defensive tackle with their 2 first-round picks and address wide receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round, I'd prefer that. As much as I like Carnell Tate, I would prefer that, and here's why. I think Eric Bieniemy coming back alone will help the wide receiver room. I think Chad O'Shea being part of your staff is going to help the Chiefs a lot. Bringing back Tyquan Thornton, you guys know my thoughts on him. That was a significant move to find a way to keep him. And hopefully, with the amount of money they're spending on Tyquan Thornton, for a guy who hasn't really been able to shine in a full season yet, that shows they want to use him a lot in games this year. They've invested early draft picks on Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. And listen, I know I've answered this millions of times. I still think Rashee Rice is going to be part of your team until there's concrete evidence that he did anything wrong, because that lawsuit might not end until next February, and he'll be a free agent by then. So I think you can address wide receiver a little later, because I think of all the things I mentioned, Chad O'Shea being on this team, Eric Bieniemy coming back, Tyquan Thornton being re-signed, and who you have right now, I think you can manage. Oh, by the way, one more important thing too, and we discussed this with Deron Cherry, Chiefs Hall of Famer Deron Cherry, who joined us, who, by the way, will be on the Chiefs Zone Live with us in 9 days. Can't believe we're in the single digits for Countdown at Planet Comic-Con at the Kansas City Convention Center next Sunday. We talked about how difficult it can be for safeties and defensive backs in general, to where if you're facing a good running back, it forces you to respect the offense a lot, meaning you have to stack the box. Defensive backs last year did not stack the box against Kansas City. I mean, defensive coordinators were calling for extra defensive backs to be ready for the speed that Xavier Worthy, all those guys possess, because they did not fear Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt for the long ball, and rightfully so. What was Kansas City's longest run last year? 33 yards? That's not good. Emari DeMarcado, he's had a longer run each of the last 3 years, longer than Kansas City, any Kansas City running back. So I think if you can address the defensive line and maybe wait a little later in the draft for wide receiver, I think you'll be fine, because I think all those things I mentioned, a good running game, which will open up the passing game, Bieniemy coming back, Chad O'Shea, your wide receivers coach, I think those things will help a lot with your wide receivers. Again, I want to be clear. I still think the wide receiver room needs to improve personnel-wise, but I think it's fine compared to the defensive line and the secondary. That's just my thoughts there. All right, if you guys have any questions, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. And if you guys have any questions, we will answer them below. What do I think about Kansas City's running game? Will the Chiefs run the ball more? This is from Elaine on X. I do, and here's why. You're paying the guy some pretty good money. $15 million. Yeah, that's significant. And let's talk about this for a moment here. Why would you need to pay Kenneth Walker $15 million? Well, number one, he not only won the Super Bowl MVP award, that dude balled out in the postseason. And yes, with Charbonnet, he split a lot of time in the regular season with him, so his numbers aren't necessarily the flashiest. We don't have a lot of down-for-down running backs in the NFL today. But with Kenneth Walker, someone who wanted more playing time, he's getting paid like a guy who's going to be a damn near down-for-down running back. And listen, are the Chiefs still going to utilize DeMarcado and Brashard Smith? Yes, of course. But I still think Kenneth Walker is someone who you're going to see a lot of. Why else did you sign Kenneth Walker? Well, I think having Eric Bieniemy as your offensive coordinator is a huge deal. I've gone over this before, but ever since Eric Bieniemy joined the Chiefs in 2013, any running back that's been here from 2013 to 2022, so whether Bieniemy was the running backs coach or the offensive coordinator, running backs have thrived. Can anyone think of a running back that didn't excel? Okay, maybe not excel, but I guess any running back that underperformed. Le'Veon Bell wasn't great in 2020, I believe that was. LaShawn McCoy. I thought LaShawn McCoy was not bad in 2019. He had a good yard per carry average, but we just didn't see him. Take care of the football as well as he should have. And I know that was kind of a thing between Bieniemy and Shady, but that's a topic for a whole nother time. But running backs in general, they do very well with Eric Bieniemy as their coach. Now, here's another reason why you got Kenneth Walker. Patrick Mahomes is coming back from an ACL tear. My case as to why Jeremiah Love would be a great selection for Kansas City, and in this mock draft that I have, this mock draft simulator I have, Jeremiah Love's available at 9. Imagine that. By the way, I want a screenshot of this because that's actually funny that Jeremiah Love is available in a mock draft at 9. It's going to take pressure away from Patrick Mahomes because he's coming back not just from an ACL tear late in the regular season, which, has us wondering what does the future hold for Mahomes in terms of his availability early in the season, because that is very important. That's one of many reasons why you got Justin Fields on your team. Quentin says, I just hope whatever happens, they don't draft another unphysical wide receiver. Yeah, I know. I don't understand the obsession with short, undersized wide receivers. Quentin, I think the reason the Chiefs have always gone that route, and listen, I know it looks like you're kind of referring to Xavier Worthy in a way. I still believe in Xavier Worthy. I thought Worthy had a good rookie season, especially in the second half of the year. Because remember, that was when Rice and Hollywood both got injured early. So Worthy was kind of thrust into this position, this role as a rookie receiver he was not expecting to have really. And then they got DeAndre Hopkins, who was learning the offense as the season went on. I still think Worthy can work out. Now you have Tyquan Thornton, who is taller than most of the receivers the Chiefs have had over recent years and still possesses really good speed. I remember Marquez Valdes-Scantling when he came in. People were excited over the fact that not only is he fast, but also has good speed. So I'm curious to see what will happen with that wide receiver room, because that's a huge deal for the Chiefs. It really is. That the speed is a big deal. They have always figured out a way to have pass catchers, whether it's Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Demetrius Harris, Jerick McKinnon, and all the other wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. They have found ways to put those players in position to create separation. Now, the wide receiver room has not been as strong the last couple of years. We know that. And the hope is that with a new coaching staff, I shouldn't say new coaching staff, but changes at offensive coordinator and wide receiver will help improve that for sure. I certainly think it will. That's what I've been calling for quite some time, honestly. By the way, who's winning tonight? Mizzou? They going to win KU? Man. You guys see the rock chalk here? Dude, I don't know what's going to happen to KU. They are capable of winning the whole damn thing. They can win 6 games, but they can also look like the worst team in college basketball. I do not know what to expect from KU. Like, I'm nervous as hell tonight. I've never been this nervous for a first round game. Even last year, I had some expectation of them advancing and doing something, but we never got that. By the way, real quickly, just want to let you guys know, in 9 days, I alluded to earlier, next Sunday, not this Sunday, next Sunday, we have the first ever Chiefs Zone Live. Joining me for that one will be Chiefs Hall of Famers Neil Smith and Deron Cherry. They will both be doing meet and greets before the live show. The live show is at 2:30, and it will be in room. I don't have it in front of me, but it's in one of these pictures here. 2502A. That's where it's going to be, at the Kansas City Convention Center. And listen, they're going to be a bunch of volunteers, so you can ask them where to go. They'll point you in the right direction. But the way this is all going to work out on Sunday, I believe Planet Comic-Con on Sunday is open at 10 a.m. So get your tickets. Yes, it is 10 a.m. 10 to 5. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So they'll be doing a meet and greet to start off the morning, and then later on in the afternoon, they'll be joining me for the Chiefs Zone Live, and then after that's over, that's going to be a 30-minute live show. They're going to go back to their tables and continue doing meet and greets. So I'm excited for this. This is a great opportunity for them. Any money they charge, every celebrity at Planet Comic-Con will be charging for autographs and pictures. Any money that Deron and Neil will be charging, it will be going to their foundations, the Deron Cherry Foundation and the Derek Thomas and Neil Smith Third and Long Foundation. Those two foundations will be benefiting us. So all proceeds will go to those two foundations, which will help a lot of charities in the Kansas City area. So if you haven't already, get your tickets. How do you get your tickets? PlanetComicCon.com. Go to their website. There's a yellow box that says buy tickets. Click on that. And by the way, you have a couple of options. You can get a 3-day pass, or you can get just a Sunday pass. And if you get a Sunday, if you are coming out just for Sunday, kids 12 and under attend for free. I believe 7 and under attend for free for the entire weekend. You still have to purchase a ticket for kids of those ages, but you won't be charged anything, to be clear. Here's a question I've been getting for several weeks now, ever since we announced this. Do you have to buy a ticket separately for the live show? No. When you purchase a ticket to Planet Comic-Con, it grants you access to the panels, which this is considered a panel there. It's a podcast, but you get the idea. You get access to all the panels. You get access to the showroom floor, which will have Celebrity Row. All the celebrities will be there, including Neil and Deron. William Shatner is going to be there. Karen Ashley. A lot of celebrities. In fact, they announced one today from Smallville. So check that out. If you're a Twilight fan, I believe they're having like 10 people from Twilight. So it's going to be a fully loaded show. A lot of great celebrities going to be there this weekend. Or next weekend, excuse me. And it'll also grant you to the vendor hall area. A lot of great vendors, artists, writers are going to be there. So take advantage of that. That's what your ticket buys you. You do not need a separate ticket for any of that, including our live podcast, which again will be next Sunday, 2:30 p.m. at the Kansas City Convention Center. And a big shout out once again to everyone at the Planet Comic-Con Kansas City team, because they have been absolutely gracious to us, answering all of our questions and concerns as to how this is all going to look, how this is all going to work out. And they're very excited. We're very excited. So I'm excited about this. And hopefully we can do many more of these in the future with them. And by the way, I see a couple of you guys asking. Yes, we are looking at doing more live podcasts in the future. I can say this. I actually had a meeting earlier this month with some people. I can't really get into specifics as to who I met with, because, you don't want to give anything away right now. But listen, there have been people who have expressed interest in wanting to host us for a Chiefs Zone Live. Because my goal would be to, do a couple of these a year, see how it goes. And if we have a great turnout, we can certainly add more to the calendar. We got to make it worth everyone's time and money. That's the thing. I never want to do something if I don't think it'll be worth the time. Let me just say this about Planet Comic-Con, and not to get into details here. I told the people at Planet Comic-Con, and I also told this to Neil and Deron and their managers, if we're going to do this, I want it to benefit everyone, me included, the players, the former players, as well as the convention. And we were able to find a happy medium to where all three of us were able to view this as a win-win-win. That was the most important thing to me. So I'm excited. I really am. And I hope you guys are as well. If you guys are going to be there, don't be afraid. Come up, say hi. I'm not going to have a table like a meet and greet, but you guys are more than welcome to say hi to me and talk to me, whatnot. We'll have some fun doing that. And of course, would love for you guys to attend the Chiefs Zone Live. Do I think Veach will cut Morris? It's a really good question. Let me look at the depth chart here. If the Chiefs draft a tackle within their first, I'll say 4 rounds, I think Wanya Morris might be on his way out. I do. Because we haven't seen much from Wanya Morris. His rookie year had a couple of games where he looked really good. But then it's like, I don't know. His second year when he lost the job to Kingsley Suamataia, they pulled Kingsley out the end of the second game. They put Wanya in, and Wanya was just as bad. So I don't know. I mean, I hope they can figure it out with him because he has the potential. I think he's got the size. But man, he gets worked easily by edge rushers. If I had to predict, I don't think he's making it. In fact, I'd be surprised if FAU, I know they're both on rookie contracts right now, so they're easy to keep, but I don't know. I have a hard time believing FAU is on this team next season, or this season rather, because they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. Remember when the NCAA tournament was all on CBS? I was thinking about that the other day. And if I recall correctly, weren't some games on delay because they just didn't want people to miss games? Dude, how did they ever make it by just broadcasting all the games on one network? That made no sense. Size means shit. All O-line have size. Not really. Like go to training camp or sit front row behind the team's bench. You'll notice a very noticeable difference in some offensive, some keyword. I mean, Wanya Morris, like if you look at Wanya Morris compared to some of the other offensive linemen on the team, he's huge. But man, sometimes being huge isn't always a good thing. If you can't figure out a way to be quick and struggle against speedy edge rushers, it's going to be a long day for you and a short career. Chiefs are moving up force for Love. Walker and Love will carry the Chiefs and Mahomes to win another ring. Yeah, I mean, why not? I think you might need to trade up more than 4 spots, though, in my opinion. Do I think the Raiders are on the right track? Here's my thing with the Raiders. I said this last year, the year before, and the year before that, and so on. The Raiders have had a couple of good off seasons in recent years, but it's never translated into anything. Even in 2021, when they made the playoffs, Raiders fans were already checked out in early December. So it's not, I mean, even during the very few good years they've had in recent memory, Raiders fans aren't really dialed in on their team, even on the good years. I mean, what good has happened? Okay, they beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day a couple of years ago. Whoop-de-doo, because 6 weeks later, the Chiefs hoisted the Lombardi Trophy inside your own stadium. The Chiefs have played a playoff game at Allegiant Stadium before the Raiders could. And that's a brand new stadium, man. I mean, do I think the Raiders are having a good offseason? Yes. Does it mean anything to me? No. I mean, the Raiders honestly are kind of at a point where it's like, I'll see it when I believe it. I have no reason to believe anything that the Raiders are going to be good until they show it. They should have been good with Devontae Adams. They should not have been the worst team in the NFL under Pete Carroll. I mean, they had the highest paid offensive coordinator I think the highest paid assistant coach in Chip Kelly, and he got fired during the season. They fired 2 assistants, 2 coordinators during the season. So I don't know, man. The Raiders, I like Clint Kubiak. I think he's going to be a great head coach. Is he going to be a great head coach with the Raiders? I don't know. I mean, who was supposed to be the savior? The guy before Pete Carroll, Antonio Pierce. That guy was supposed to be the savior. Max Crosby was heavily campaigning for him to be the head coach. Well, you got what you asked for, and it didn't do much for you. I'll believe it when I see it with the Raiders. Until then, I'm not a believer in the Raiders. I never will be until they just do it. And even if they do make the playoffs, can they sustain that? Like, is Brock Bowers going to want to stick around long term? Look, I know Max Crosby, excuse me. I know Max Crosby, he has given the Raiders every opportunity to improve, and he asked to be traded. And unfortunately, with Baltimore, things kind of went AWOL in his physical. I heard his explanation on the physical. I don't know what to believe, what not to believe. The Ravens are going to be asked about it quite a lot this offseason. I would not be surprised if the Ravens get asked about Max Crosby's situation in training camp. Because, you know, these coaches, general managers, they're not available often in the offseason. So it's going to be a topic that'll be around for a while. It's not going away anytime soon. But here's what I will say. Crosby he already expressed to the Raiders his frustration and wanted out. So what's stopping him from doing it again? And again, I like Crosby. He's a phenomenal player. No one's going to say otherwise. But a player of his caliber who should be on a championship contending team, he's not going to be patient for too long. Yes, he's happy that he's a Raider again, Raider Nation for life. Here we go. Wait until the Raiders struggle again this season. Do you think he's going to be beating that same drum? Is he going to exude that same energy when the Raiders, they look like their season's already over by the time October starts, like it is every year or just about? I mean, let's see. I don't think Crosby's going to finish his career with the Raiders. I don't believe it. I just don't. And listen, that guy is a Raider through his blood. The guy spells his first name with 2 X's, for crying out loud. It doesn't get more Raider than that. How much do I charge for selfies? I am not charging shit. I'm not a celebrity. So if you want my autograph, it's not worth anything, but sure, I'll sign something. You want a picture? Hey, no problem, man. People have asked for pictures before. How much? Now, it says, how much do I charge? Unless you meant Duran and Neil, I don't know how much they charge. It should be on the Planet Comic Con website, unless they don't have it updated. But they'll have information at the event on Sunday when Duran and Neil are there. So, yeah, Yobi, I think you know how that stuff works. Or yeah, boy, my bad. Yeah, that's cool. You'll be there all 3 days. Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's a fun time. It really is. I went to my first Planet Comic Con and my first ever Comic Con a couple of years ago. Dude, it was fun. I thought it was one of those things, like, I thought it was going to be way too nerdy for me, and I consider myself a nerd. But I've always wanted to go, and it never worked out with my schedule. And I remember when it was time for me to go because there was nothing else to do, I was like, damn, I kind of don't want to leave. Like, it's a lot of fun. If you've never been and you're going because of the Chiefs Zone Live, hey, give it a chance. Go check out Celebrity Row and the vendor hall and all of those things. I think you guys will be quite impressed. They have a lot of sports vendors at Planet Comic Con. I can't speak for every Comic Con convention. I don't have it with me, but I have a Mount Rushmore of 4 Chiefs. It's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. They have other Mount Rushmores of, like, you know, best rock bands and WWE wrestlers, other NFL teams. There are a couple of Chiefs artists. One who we interviewed recently, Anthony Oropeza, he is going to be out playing at Comic Con. That dude's got phenomenal art that I think you guys need to be checking out. So you'll see some sports vendors as well. If you're into nostalgia gaming like I am, or nostalgia anime, whatever suits your, whatever rocks your boat, there's a lot of old items that you might come across. Now, I'm not like a collector of old figures or anything like that. Some people are. Sometimes you'll come across something old that maybe you haven't seen in quite some time, like especially old vendors that sell old video games. Some people like that. Sometimes they'll have them in their original Nintendo. Remember those bulky, thick Nintendo boxes, game boxes? You'll see them in those. Some vendors will have it. Some. Farzine, you gonna miss your own podcast hanging out at the Twilight booth? Yes, I will be at the Twilight booth, hanging out with them. Actually, I was trying to convince my mom. My mom's a huge Twilight fan. But she doesn't want to. She said no. She's gonna be there to check out the live show. My parents will be there, which I'm excited for. But I want to show them like the floor of Planet Comic Con because they've never been before. Yeah, Susan, I addressed the Max Crosby thing, but not that specific part about how the Ravens treated Crosby. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know what did or didn't happen. Everyone has their own version of what did happen. I don't know if you guys are UFC fans. Dude, whenever a fight does not come together like some fans want, the UFC president, Dana White, will have his version of the story, and the fighters who were supposed to be part of an event, they will have their version of the story as to what happened. This is what's happening right now. The Ravens are giving you one thing, Max Crosby's giving you a whole nother thing. It's hard to even answer that without knowing what happened. Now, I have questions about Crosby's knee because it's a torn meniscus. I wouldn't call myself an expert on knee injuries, but I have watched a plethora of YouTube videos on knee surgeries and read a lot of articles. I've had 2 knee surgeries. So I'm very familiar with the knee in ways that almost a doctor would be familiar with. I'm being facetious, but for Crosby to be on crutches 7 weeks for a torn meniscus, dude, I've heard athletes get surgery to repair a meniscus and they're walking without crutches the next day. So I have a lot of questions about. Now, I've heard it's a significant meniscus tear, but how significant are we talking that he needed crutches for 7 weeks? I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of questions I have on this. And he didn't pass a physical because of a torn meniscus from 7 or 8 weeks ago. I have a lot of questions on this. You don't have to be a doctor or a physician to know if you get surgery on a meniscus. I'll give you guys, my dad had been dealing with some knee problems over the years. Turned out he didn't need surgery, thankfully, and he's doing better. But I told him, I was like, if it's I knew it was not an ACL tear because I know the symptoms of an ACL tear very well, unfortunately. And I knew he did not tear an ACL. I was kind of hoping, and it sounds weird, I was kind of hoping that it was a meniscus tear because, I mean, the financial part of it, that's never fun. But the recovery process for a meniscus tear, getting the surgery and the recovery portion of it, dude, that is extremely minor. My second knee surgery was a meniscus repair, not a torn meniscus. It was a meniscus repair. I mean, like, I woke up and I was totally fine, and I was able to do some light walking, kind of like how a baby walks on the same night. I went home from the hospital. And then the next day, like less than 24 hours later, the next morning, I was able to walk without crutches. In fact, I never needed crutches to begin with. I needed people to hold my hand and walk me to my couch, which I do not like. I hate when people help me. That's just, the stubbornness in me. But I don't know, like this whole Crosby thing, I have a lot of questions. A professional athlete is stronger than the average person. Is this like the worst meniscus tear of all time? It's hard to even give I gave you a really long answer, but I answered it by asking a bunch of questions. Matthew says Pole took Morris' spot last year. Yeah, he definitely did at left tackle. I like Pole too. Now, can Pole play right tackle? Because I know a lot of Chiefs fans don't want to hear number 9 right tackle, but if Francis Mauigoa falls to the Chiefs at 9, and if Carnell Tate, Caleb Downs, Reuben Bain Jr., if those guys are all gone, Francis Mauigoa would not be a bad option at 9. He wouldn't. Raiders quarterback they are drafting said he won't be ready for game 1, so they need a veteran quarterback. When did he say that? The Chargers are the same way. I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, but Weston, I got to push back a little bit on that because I'll be honest, I was not a believer in the Chargers last year. And I kept saying the Chargers would completely collapse. Give credit to the Chargers because with a banged up offensive line all year, they won their first 3 games all against division rivals. Whenever you can win your divisional games, you are in a very prime position to win the division. But the Chargers, man, like they figured it out at least to get to the playoffs. Now, when you face a great defense like the Patriots, I mean, dude, what do you expect at that point? I don't think anybody was shocked that Herbert had a rough game. Now, it's frustrating because all 3 games with Herbert in the playoffs, the Chargers have scored fewer and fewer points. But I can't put this most recent game on Herbert. Like that dude was playing with a JV offensive line. So, look, I kind of actually believe in the Chargers. They've probably had the worst offseason of any team in the division, but if they can improve that offensive line, man, or if it can at least stay healthy, I think Herbert can have a good season. I think he can be an MVP candidate, in fact. I thought he was on his way last year up until, his backup offensive lineman let him get beat to death. The Chiefs need a pass rush over a receiver on pick 9. What do you think? I agree. But if both Bain and Bailey are gone, I think Carnell Tate and Caleb Downs are 2 players. Both happen to be from Ohio State. I think those are 2 players you seriously look at. I do. Because maybe you get Zion Young either at 29 or 40. I still think that you go after a defensive tackle, either Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, Caleb Banks with the 29th pick. Zion Young may be there at 40. Maybe. With the first 3 picks, 9, 29, and 40, assuming they don't trade, I would love it if the Chiefs address the edge rusher position, defensive tackle position, and with the other one, either wide receiver or cornerback. I think you could get a lot done, a lot accomplished if you go that route with the first 3 picks. Clark says we need to go and grab Marshawn Lattimore. I'm surprised we haven't went after a veteran quarterback in free agency. Is Marshawn Lattimore available still? I remember the Chiefs were expected to get him, but yeah, the Commanders released him. Okay, I do remember that now. I just wasn't sure if he was with another team or not. Yeah, I remember the Chiefs were in the hunt in 2024 to get him from the Saints, but he ended up going to Washington. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you think we get a wide receiver or a running back this year? Wide receiver, yes, in the draft. Running back, probably not. Probably not. I'll read a couple more questions and then I got to get out of here. I got people coming over for the game. Just because I graduated from VCU, go Rams. Hell yeah. That was fun to watch. I thought VCU was dead in the water. Dude, I remember when VCU beat KU. That was heartbreaking. And then that VCU coach who looked exactly like Nick Wright. Remember many years ago when Nick Wright would shave his head? Now he's got a mullet, but back in the day when Nick Wright was in Kansas City, he was bald. That head coach, Shaka Smart, that's his name. He looked exactly like Nick Wright. Everyone was calling him Nick Wright 2.0. I remember he went and became the head coach of Texas. What happened to Shaka Smart? Where is he now? He's not with Texas still, is he? He doesn't look like Nick Wright anymore. He left Texas in 2021, is now with Marquette. What's his record been like with Marquette? 110-61, not bad. They're not in the tournament this year. They've been every year with him in Marquette, except most recent year. Did he get fired by Texas or did he leave? Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, I remember VCU beating KU. I hated that. I had a torn medical meniscus in 78 that was decimated, and they had to remove it completely. I've had 3 total knee replacements. Ooh. A meniscus tear wouldn't take 7 weeks on crutches. I was a professional flat track motorcycle racer. Very questionable. I appreciate your insight on that. See, that's the thing. Is this like the worst meniscus tear of all time? And I'm not trying to be funny at all. Like, say, I genuinely don't know. That's a genuine question from me. And listen, every professional athlete is tough, but Max Crosby plays damn near every single snap. More than any edge rusher ever. Like, if you told me Crosby is on crutches 7 weeks because of a meniscus tear, I would have been like, what? Because I see people on the internet, whenever there's a picture of Patrick Mahomes, like when Brittany was part of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, I think it was the same week as the Super Bowl. It was the players' wives and girlfriends, and their boyfriends' husbands joined them for this party for the reveal. Patrick was there, and people were making a big deal. Oh, he doesn't have crutches anymore. Well, yeah, it's been more than 3 weeks. If you just use Google, you'll know that after 3 weeks, 3 weeks after a surgery on an ACL tear, you don't need crutches. You can walk just fine. You won't be able to run. I would bet Mahomes is lightly jogging by now. And certainly training. Now, is he doing intense leg presses like he was back right before the injury? Absolutely not. He still has a ways to go to get to that point. But a torn ACL and a torn meniscus, like for those who aren't familiar with the ligaments on the knee, a meniscus is such a minor repair. Like, I've heard stories of professional athletes jogging 24 hours after surgery on a meniscus. So that's why I have so many questions about that. I remember that game. That was the year Jay Billis said VCU didn't belong in the tournament. Yeah, it's always somebody saying that a team doesn't belong, and they end up eating those words. I remember for the longest time, and listen, as a KU fan, I never agreed with this, but KU refused to play Wichita State. And I remember in 2015, I think, Wichita State and KU were in the same bracket, in the same region, I should say, and they met in the second round. And Wichita State won. And I remember the narrative all week long was, now we know why Wichita State won't ever play KU. Which, as a KU fan, I hated. But objectively speaking, it's like, why did KU feel like they were above playing Wichita State? And don't tell me, oh, it's because of recruiting that, that takes away one less opportunity to go recruit elsewhere. Man, this KU team plays UMKC from time to time. Come on, like we're better than that. So Listen, I thought it would have been great to have Wichita State in Allen Fieldhouse for a game. And I think that would have been great for Wichita State as well. But yeah, I mean, it's always interesting how those things come around in the tournament. I think that's why the NCAA tournament is maybe considered the most exciting by some people, the most exciting postseason in all of sports. With that said, I think I'm going to go back and watch some more basketball. I know you guys probably want to as well. So I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys joining me for this episode of the Red Friday Q&A live chat. A shorter version of this because there's not a whole lot going on right now. But nonetheless, I do appreciate those who tuned in and asked questions. Real quickly, before we get out of here, this is our last Red Friday Q&A live chat for a while. There will not be one next week because of Planet Comic-Con Kansas City. And speaking of Planet Comic-Con Kansas City, we will be there on Sunday, March the 29th for the first ever Chiefs Zone Live. I'll be joined by Chiefs Hall of Famers Duron Cherry and Neil Smith. Again, this is at Planet Comic-Con Kansas City, downtown at the Kansas City Convention Center, and we will be in room 2502A for the live show. That will take place at 2:30 on that Sunday. Sunday is the last day of Planet Comic-Con. If you guys want to get tickets to Planet Comic-Con Kansas City and attend the first ever Chiefs Zone Live, go to planetcomiccon.com. Get your tickets. As soon as you get to the website, there is a yellow box that says buy tickets. You cannot miss it. Click on that. Get your tickets. You can get a 3-day pass or just a Sunday pass if you only want to attend Sunday. One last thing I will say, and I will post about this when we get closer to Sunday. The parking is going to be crazy. There are going to be a lot of people there. Saturday is the crazy one. Sunday is still very, very crazy. So I do not, if you guys are attending just for this show, I don't want you guys to feel like you wasted money on a ticket because you missed out. My warning to all of you, number one, wear comfortable shoes. This is not a formal event, by the way. So wear what you would wear to like a Chiefs party or a Chiefs game if you're going to Arrowhead. But the most important thing, arrive early. Parking can be a mess. So arrive early. If you get there earlier than you planned, check out the vendor halls. I cannot recommend that enough. A lot of great artists. I mentioned Anthony Oropezzo, Chris Rao, another great sports artist that you will see. Plenty of comics, plenty of celebrities. But just make sure you give yourself ample time for parking because that can be chaotic. And depending how busy it gets, you might need to park a few blocks away, maybe like where Power and Light is or where the T-Mobile Center is, and you might need to walk a bit. Just a warning for all of you. I don't want you guys to be surprised by that. So if you're attending, I hope to see you all there. Please give yourself plenty of time to park because it will be busy. Trust me on that. If there's anything you want to take away from this live stream, it will be busy that Sunday. So please, please, please get there as early as you can. All right, guys. I'm Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me. I will talk to you all on Monday night for the Chiefs Zone Live. Take care.